Okay, here's the rest of what is growing here. We have kale. Got a few of those there. Probably gonna plant more and fill in the spots. Some seeds didn't make it, so we just kept trying. I believe it was too cold at the time when I started. And then once it got warmer, these started to sprout up, so gonna be adding more to that. I have 2 cucumbers here, which I started in pot, and now I'm moving to a bigger area of the garden bed. This is spinach, which has actually surprised me with its growth. At first, it came out bushy and low to the dirt, and now it's sprouted like this. So I'm kind of curious about this. I'm gonna do my research on it to see what's going on with that. I preferred it the way it was before because the leaves were bigger and seem more plentiful. Now it's got these smaller leaves, so I'm kind of seeing the progress of that and see how it goes. Not exactly happy with the progress right now, but I'm gonna see it through and see what happens. This one here is broccoli. I have another one growing on the other side of the yard. I have them sitting in shade mostly to get them going. I believe the heat might affect their growth, so I'm growing another one on the other side of the yard. We have basil here, which I actually bought just from the store, a local grocery store. There were about 10, I believe, when it started out, and half of them died away. The rest have grown, and they look they look great now. This one here is cauliflower. That one has been great from the start. I'm just waiting to see how it develops once the actual vegetable grows in. We have red bell pepper here. My roommate got that plant, but he's not so happy with the progress of it. It has produced, but they're smaller, and he wants, bigger. So I'm gonna see what happens with that. We might get rid of the plant, but I prefer to see it through and see what happens. I'm gonna give it more nutrients and see how it develops. We have yellow hot banana peppers, and yes, some of them are changing to a different color. After they've been sitting for a while, they turn red. You have orange habanero. Let's see if we can get a glimpse of one of them. There we are. This plant I like. It doesn't produce too much, but what you get is definitely what you're looking for. It's very hot pepper. We have poblano here, and as you can see, those will turn red as well after they've been sitting for a while. So those I'm going to cut off very soon and use them. I believe they're going to have a little bit more heat to them now that they've been sitting and turning color. This pepper is kind of thin-skinned, so I'm not exactly too happy with it. I prefer a thicker skinned pepper, but I do like these. I use them in cooking a lot, so they're okay. Depends on your own personal taste. This one over here is green bell pepper, and these have been producing bigger than the red bell pepper. I'm not sure why, but those change color as well after they've been there for a while. Believe it or not, I planted a yellow hot banana seed pepper seed, and I had eggplant grow out of it. I'm not sure how that happened because my eggplant over here is at least maybe about 10 feet away. So surprisingly, that happened. From my green bell pepper, I planted 3 seeds, and I have these 3 guys now. I'm gonna keep probably 2 of them once I separate them, and then give away or sell the other. This, I was just curious, and I do this a lot. I'll just take seeds from stuff bought at the store, and I'll plant them. So these are from either a yellow or orange bell pepper. So I'm gonna see how they develop. This one here is from a red sweet pepper. I got the idea of it from my roommate getting a lunchbox orange sweet snacking pepper, and I figured, hey, let's add another one. And so this one's growing. There was only 1 seed in the pepper, and here it is. It developed. So that's nice. The origin of my garden started with the eggplant here. It was delivered on my doorstep on Earth Day. Planted it out front, figured I'd water it here and there, and it started to die away. There was 1 piece of vegetable that remained, and I took it as a sign to plant the seeds in that. I did that in 3 separate pots, and I got 3 different plants. And eventually I transferred them over to a garden box that I built because they needed more room for sure. after that little experiment, that's when I started looking into gardening and looking up each plant individually about what they need and how to take care of them. So the eggplant's doing well now. I have 2 tomato plants here, which I put in a very large pot. The soil in my backyard is not good for growing, so we've had to use pots, garden boxes, stuff like that to keep the plants going. This one is on its 2nd year, like most of the plants that I have, and it is starting to die away here and there, get new growth here and there. So I'm starting to learn how to use nutrients to keep the plant going so that it doesn't die on me. Here we have a new addition, which is Brussels sprouts. These are growing very nicely. I find them very interesting as far as plants go. I looked it up online, and if you look it up yourself, you can see just how big those plants will grow. So I'm waiting for those to get to where they should be so they can develop and produce. Here we have artichoke. This we started in a pot. It was about 3 feet tall, and I had it sitting in shade, or my roommate had it sitting in shade. And then I looked into it and figured after the first year of it not producing that I would need to move it. So I put it over in our garden box. And since then we've had, I think, 5 artichokes develop. This one here is probably past its point to where it should be cut off. So I'm going to be taking that off probably tonight and cooking it. But yeah, the plant has done very well since then. It's grown from 3 feet to about my height, 6 feet. And now we actually have new growth coming in as well. So that was something I didn't know what happened, but I'm surprised to see. There's new growth here, so we should have new artichokes coming in eventually from those. This one here is 8-ball zucchini. Now I didn't even know this existed because I've never seen it in the store. Tried with zucchini last year, and it didn't develop as much as I wanted it to. My sister had grown zucchini in the past, and hers got huge. I mean, 2 feet long, 1 foot and around kind of thing. She grew some big ones, and mine didn't. So this year I came across this one and tried it, and so far I'm happy with the results. This here is almost the size of a volleyball, I'd say. It's very big. I can't fit my whole hand around it. It's very, very nice. I've already cut one off, which was the size of I'd say a little over the size of a baseball. And this one has grown at least 3 times the size of that one. Here I have arugula. That's a rocket arugula, so I wasn't sure how it was gonna grow, but yeah, it sprouts right up and gets about nice and tall. It's about 3 feet, and produces some nice leaves. I'm probably gonna look into buying a more bushier plant because I think it might develop and produce more, but I have that for now. Doing some garlic here, and I think I need to go deeper with these because I would prefer more production out of it. I think the roots actually need to go deeper, so I'll probably be moving this along with the chives. When I did transport them into this little box, I saw that the roots were kind of long, so I think they'll need to be transported into something deeper. Here is another broccoli, which I started over in shade. I'll probably move that into sun now because it's going to be doing just fine. I had to plant a stick next to it so that it would grow upright, like I'm going to do with this one, who keeps falling over. This is actually cauliflower, but yeah, I want them to grow straight upright, so I'm using a stick to help with that. The wind blows them down very easily. Here we have another cucumber, which I'm growing as well. I'm going to either give that away to a friend or someone in the neighborhood. In this pot here, I put in seeds from a jalapeno. It's a thicker pepper, so I'm looking forward to that coming in. I prefer a thicker pepper. We have our oregano, and I wish I knew that it was going to grow this big and this long, because I would have planted it in a different pot, a different size, and put a nice little fence around it like that, because now it's just hanging out everywhere. But it's produced very well. It's gone through its second season now. You see some of it dies away, but then you have new stuff that grows in. I actually left some of this out here so that I could record it. You can see how it looks, but that you'll want to cut away. Next to it, we have parsley. The parsley was much bigger before and did very well before it going through its second season as well. It's not looking so good, so I'm starting to introduce different nutrients to it to see what can happen with that. What you're seeing is some of it dying away, and then you're seeing some new growth here, and here. It was a lot bushier before the first year, so I'm hoping it will get back to that. I'll record the progress along with everything else and how everything grows. Over here we have red onion. A lot of these seeds didn't make it. I think it was sitting in the sun and it was too hot, so I moved it over here into the shade where we'll get partial sun. This is probably the oldest one, and I'm thinking that'll be ready within a month, considering the growth that has happened on it and how it looks now, how thick it is here. I actually did pull it out to see where it was at about a month ago, and it was probably about that size. So I want it to be bigger. Since then it's developed a lot more, so I'm hoping it'll be ready soon. And I've planted some others. You can see them coming in. And then we have some new ones now that I moved it over to the shade. Some new ones here. That's another thing too, is sometimes with your plants, they'll be struggling. They'll grow up and then you'll have part of it still sticking in the dirt, and you'll have to pull it out and help it along its way. Otherwise it might die on you. I've seen that happen many times. Also with pepper plants, something I had to do today with, we'll go back to this one, yellow or orange bell pepper. We'll see what develops out of it. Here's a third one here, and it wasn't growing as fast as the others because a part of the seed was still stuck here. So I had to help it along and take that seed shell off of it. This is my cilantro. You can maybe see some of the coffee grounds down there to help it along. This one wasn't doing so well until about a month ago when I started introducing nutrients. At first I planted 4 seeds. I had 2 grow, and then yeah, something that will happen is you'll get you know, nature will come and start eating away at your plants. So I've had to catch a mouse before, which was about, you know, 6 inches big or long. It was a very fat rat. So this was the only survivor for cilantro, and I had to move it to the center of the pot. And transporting your plants, they don't always like it. Some of them might die from it, or it might stunt their growth for a little bit. I had to introduce nutrients right away to help it get back. This growth here has happened within the past probably 2 to 3 weeks. Before that, it was just something down here and it was dying away. So I'm glad to see it developing. I had one last year that didn't survive in winter because it was way too cold. I'm looking forward to this one getting just as big and bushy as the last one did. It should go to the top of this, and we should have a lot to work with. Over here we have lavender. Not much use I do with it. I'll probably look into something and see what I can get out of it and what I can do with it, but still nice to have. It smells lovely. Here I planted from an actual pepper or 2 or 3 and just took the seeds and threw them right in here. We're gonna have Anaheim, Serrano, and I believe it's a ghost pepper. It's small, it's red, and it's fire. It is like burning you to death kind of fire. Can't wait for these to grow in. I'm gonna give a few away, and then I'm going to keep maybe 2 of each, center them into a nice bigger pot, and then see how they develop and what I get out of them. So far they're doing very well. I did transport them recently because I only had them in 2 pots, so I had to separate them as they were getting bigger, and so far they survive and they're doing just fine now.